There's almost no doubt that both C9BC and DarkZero are playoffs bound, and a meeting will be a best of 3 at some point in 2 weeks' time. But today, we get a preview of that eventual matchup in a best of 1 environment with all bets off. Both teams are on 3-game win streaks. C9BC is the commodity, DarkZero is the legacy team, and we just get to sit back and watch the bloodletting. Welcome back to the North American League. I'm Jacob, he's Laxing, he is Foxay. We get the playoff preview early in a BO1. This one's going to be fun.
Oh yeah, it's very exciting because both of these teams didn't start off their first week too hot. We wanted more from both of these teams. Obviously, C9BC has been playing in full form to what we would expect them to be from their major run. They look like that team again.
Yeah.
And DarkZero, slowly but surely, they're getting there. And we did like a lot what they saw, some mental fortitude, nice little comeback yesterday. I think they're both in equal tension right now. It's going to be a really good match.
Yeah, I think when you look at DarkZero, it's everything to prove here that everything that you've been doing has been working successfully. And then for Cloud9 Beastcoast, it's just another day in the office, just showing why you are the best in the region, why you were at Manchester and won it, to say the least.
Ew, 9th attacking for DarkZero. I mean, they definitely had a little bit of a rough start.
They were 8th in rehearsals, by the way, so someone else must have all
fair, how many rounds have they actually played on attack versus their defense?
It's not. It isn't very many. Like, they haven't played as much. It's like 6, so the percentage is low.
You got to take that into account.
Well, they played 6 yesterday, and they won 1.
Well, that's fair.
But
Also,
they came back on defense, and that's why their defense is so high. So
no, yeah, the overall point is that this matchup is the current best attacking team against the current best defending team. So when we get those two halves colliding, it's going to be cinema. Let's start with C9BC. They are on a 3-game win streak, 2 of them coming on 2 straight console games where they were on defense first, including against Lowe's yesterday, and they just rolled over the Brazilians on their way to another victory.
I mean, you can't stop. They won't stop. C9 Beastcoast is still performing as I thought they would be. I had them at the top of my standing for a reason. They're showing why that they're, making that headway there. Obviously, they're a little under Sonics, but this game could put them at the top. But I mean, yeah, the performance that we saw yesterday, I mean, we touched up on it with the Los talk that they were quick to adapt to what Los was trying to do, how they can shut it out. And, these are their stats from their game. Everyone very close to each other. Spirits had a really good game. Gunner had a really good game. Again, across the board, everyone had a really good game. You had a 7-3. That doesn't just come from one player. That just comes from everyone playing together. And how we've been seeing C9 Beastcoast play as a whole, they've been playing extremely well together.
Yeah, absolutely. They really have that aggressive play style where it's very floaty, if I take a word from Kobe, very floaty. They're all playing around each other, and they're able to isolate 2v1 fights all over the map. They're constantly moving, and it's very difficult to get a hold on them, which makes them so difficult to play against and so infectious to watch.
Yeah, absolutely. And I got a couple clips that, demonstrate how well this team plays together. I talked about it yesterday. This team sets the tempo. They'll force you to play their game. And the one thing that I really love about this round is it starts out with they get the Malusi kill, but then they immediately follow it up with Doki with hacking the cameras, and then you will immediately see the transition of how this team wants to take it. Gunner is all the way playing top yellow, and then they force the player out of vending machine here, and they use the shield to keep pushing and take this control, which ultimately they end up grabbing this kill. But again, it comes off this shield plan, it comes off this teamwork. He gets flash, he gets pushed by this shield, they immediately frag him out, and then the shield continues to push on and get more map control. Gunner wins that fight top yellow. They do trade it out, but again, Spirits is pushing and forcing these players into unwinnable positions. And again, it goes back into they set the tempo, they set the pace. You are going to play C9 Beastcoast game. Unfortunately, Los do try to double up here, try to get this. It just isn't enough. C9 Beastcoast immediately pressure him. The shield just gets it done. Then we follow up into the next round. A beautiful roam clear. Los just looks very uncoordinated and doesn't really have an idea where C9 Beastcoast could be. But ultimately, C9 Beastcoast are everywhere on the map. They're collapsing on you. They're pinching you. They're using these drones effectively. It does go into a 5v3, but then it immediately transitions into this round. It gets a little scrappy, as you'll see here. We then get into the last little bit of this round. It falls into a 2v2, but it just goes to show the individual prowess of each player here. They can confidently take these 1v1s. Gavini's on the other side of the map, waiting for Legacy to play through, while Gunner is focused on this 1v1. And again, it speaks into this individual prowess that Gunner's confident. He's going to take this 1v1, and then Legacy immediately falls right into Gavini's trap, waiting for him. And it just goes to show, I mean, this team and their individual prowess, their skill, their coordination, their teamwork, it is shown every single game that we've been seeing so far, and it's exactly why they won the Manchester Major.
Yeah, and they're constantly playing off of each other in all those clips, and the most impressive part to me is even once they do get an advantage, they don't just instantly re-swing, go for another one.
No.
Even though individually they're all amazing, they are constantly thinking of what the other players on their team are doing so they can make a connection, and specifically, they stay alive in those moments, which is the biggest thing. They are not giving an instant trade back.
The similarity between both these teams is that they lost their first game and then had a little bit of a break trying to figure out how to come back into things, but they're on 3-game win streaks. C9BC are looking phenomenal, so are DarkZero. They got their own win 7-5 on Club yesterday against Wildcard and did not allow a 1-5 first half to phase them. Put together a perfect defensive game plan and got 3 points, but we would like to see that attacking stat go up a little bit here.
I mean, we'd love to. I mean, this rejuvenated, fast and aggressive DarkZero that we saw, we didn't get to see too much of their attacks, but their defenses were so fast and aggressive. The way that they were holding on to position, holding their ground, and fighting back, constantly getting for those first picks, specifically holding down the main stairs area, constantly going for these retakes. Their defense was beautiful. Now, even in their attacks that they only won 1 of 6 rounds, the 1 round that they did win was such a masterclass on how to do a fast execute. And we have the clip that we can show you right here. Panba is locking out the roamers from Wildcard. They identify that they have only a few people in sight, and they go for a hit. Kobe takes so much pressure, and if you notice, they're also running Sledge if they needed to go through that ash wall, but they don't because Kobe takes so much room, and he does what an entry needs to do, take space. Anything more is great. He gets a pick, he goes for more, maybe a little too much, gets taken down, but look, the case is already down. The round is already shut out. Everybody else from DarkZero just needs to fall back, play the defuse, play the time, and that's what they do. Wildcard tries their best. Did I mention Panba is still on the blue stairs, stalling them out? Exactly. Start to finish, every step of the way, DarkZero knew what Wildcard's answers were going to be. Even though Wildcard gets some kills back, it is all for nothing because they still have top floor control. They stalled the time, they played their lives, and even though this was the only round that DarkZero actually got against Wildcard from their attacking side, it was so nice, and it leaves me confident to say that DarkZero is in good hands with Nafe IGLing.
I'm just curious about that point. If they're so good with Nafe IGLing, then why are they still only 40% on attack? Why are they down here in the bottom echelon of the NAL on attack right now?
Well, we mentioned it a little bit that they haven't gotten too much time to play attack. They're usually winning these rounds and building a very big cushion on their defenses.
Right.
But a lot of teams are saying that defense is the favorable side. So once you get to that attack, they only need to win a couple. But that was the first game that they actually had to start off at a deficit on their attacks. We'd like to see it better, but obviously seeing the 1 round that they did do successfully that was fast and aggressive like that work all in unison, it does leave me confident that with a little bit more time, the unpredictable attacks like that can become more successful.
Okay.
But now you find yourself against C9 Beastcoast. You have to be strong on all these fronts here. C9 Beastcoast isn't going to let you walk away with anything for free.
C9 BC is good at everything.
They aren't
so
going
DZ need to be good at
They are
everything.
not going to give you the space that you were taking from Wildcard in that scenario. They are going to be fighting for it every bit a step of the way. So it comes to question here. That you're bringing it to Consulate. So, I mean, DZ has always been really good at counter-stratting teams in some situations. So, I mean, you're still keeping the same coaching staff of Min and the staff in general. They did bring on Nyx, I believe, as well. So, I do expect some big counterplay going here that you're going to challenge C9 Beastcoast to this. But that goes into question, once again, you did get a little bit of those rounds handed to you in some areas that Wildcard were that, again, C9 Beastcoast just absolutely is not going to give you.
Yeah, the personalities of going to this map match for both teams because C9 BC just won Consulate twice. They're feeling confident. They play their game, like you said, Lax. So, of course, they're going to take it a 3rd time to this map because they want somebody to beat them. DarkZero, on the other hand, was a team that thrives on counter-stratting. They have the information. You don't have information on DarkZero's Consulate, so it will be a very big toss-up. But when it comes to the previous playstyles that we know from both teams, obviously this is a map that favors aggressive players and aggressive teams. DarkZero is on that track, but we saw it. Their attacks were a little lackluster when it came to that aggression.
Just want to throw this factoid out there. It's both good and bad for C9 BC fans. Yes, they played Consulate twice. Yes, they won it twice because they were on defense to start twice, and that was their last 2 games. But the teams they beat, Wildcard and Los. So it's kind of up in the air about whether that exact same strategy is going to hold firm against another team that is on their own 3-game win streak.
It can give a little bit of false confidence for sure, because even the team that they beat prior to all of this was LG, another team which they have been improving, but they still were of the bottom echelon of teams. Can't really say that now. So there could be a little bit of false confidence here, but I don't really see that happening because even they even said in their interview, they show every team respect. They don't take anyone for granted. They're going to still display what they need to display. They aren't going to get ahead of themselves. So that being said alone, clearly they're going into every single game with the same mindset, and that's truly, I think, what propels them and puts them above the rest.
Yeah, and you could say DarkZero has footage on them but you could also argue that the teams that C9BC played weren't as competitive as DarkZero will be. So
You can say that because the standings back it up.
Yeah, so C9BC didn't get to show their full arsenal that a major winning team has on a map like Consulate.
And to take into account that we forgot yesterday is in the interview, they said Vivid made their Consulate good. Before they hated Consulate, they did not like the map. And now all of a sudden they look really dominant again. Sure, they were playing the weaker teams, but that goes to show that even the coaching staff and Vivid being brand new is expanding their map pool and then making them stronger. So I can only imagine that they're going to be more than prepared to go against DarkZero regardless of playing this now for the third time.
Yeah, it's a fair point. And I just like sitting back and letting the destruction unfold and listening to the sultry tones of Sam Stewart and Carter Hannafeld take us all the way to Carnage Heaven.
I hate to fact check you. Carnage is not playing right now, Jacob. Just kidding. No, I mean, I hope this game is going to be a chaotic one because, I mean, I have found when C9 Beastcoast are in chaotic games and they have to let their incredibly talented players do the talking, it makes for very fun Siege to watch. But Sam, I get DarkZero, you know, like,
Did you see the social prediction there?
Guys,
We're picking DarkZero versus...
Guys, what are we doing? What are we...
Oh, man. These guys don't know ball, Carter. They just don't know ball.
Dude, we got a bunch of Tony Snells voting. Like, that's crazy. I don't know what's up with that. What I know is I get, you know, DarkZero, haha, they, you know, going again with the, you know, the stereotype. They love their prep. I don't know if I'd want to go against Beastcoast, who have looked red hot on console the past couple days, but I'm excited to see DarkZero if they make me eat my words.
Yeah, 100%. I think whenever you have the plethora of talent that they have, especially in their support staff, right, you're always confident walking into a matchup like this. Nobody has any tape on you. You have tape on them, and not only that, but you have a plethora of tape on them in recent history. And just seeing how you can potentially exploit C9's defenses. Now, the big thing is that C9, especially from what we saw when they won their major, is that they're not exactly one to care too much about what teams really strategize against them. They'll just beat you over the head with a hammer. So that's the big thing I'm looking for in this match. Can C9 potentially produce what we've seen from them in past history, or is it going to be something where DarkZero have truly cracked the Konami code of Cloud9 BC?
And we'll see in this matchup. One of the things I love most about you know, Beast Coast rise and then obviously, you know, complete ascent to the top of Rainbow Six with their victory in Manchester was they were really, at least in North America, the first team to discover truly how powerful Monty is now, and that allowed them to sort of bounce back from what was a pretty middling group stage and then obviously mount that into a pretty compelling playoffs run. But by being first to the punch with Montaigne, it allowed them to actually start, you know, bolstering up their play without that operator, as he was consistently banned against them and then banned in general. So they were able to shore up a lot of their weaknesses and then become, obviously, a major winning roster. So even though we see this DarkZero Monty ban, it's a very good ban in general, Beast Coast are a team that are well beyond even needing to rely on any shield. I mean, sure, they played them a lot in that Los game yesterday, but Manchester, they did a lot of work with relatively little shield play. So this is still a lethal roster, even if Monty's off the board.
Really, how do you hinder shield play in the current meta? I mean, we've seen games with Monty and Blitzband, and we've still seen few shield come out, for God's sake. So it's just, it's kind of a difficult thing to get away from right now. But a lot of teams obviously trying to problem solve around that. That's why we, you know, see things like Legion work its way into the defensive favor quite often. So you can see that here with C9's setup as well, although no real, you know, offensive shield here, but still as potent of an operator as ever. Good info and good way to be able to pull something away from the offense. Not capable of sprinting, taking a little bit of damage as well. Just always a solid option. We're gonna have Spirits here. He's constantly getting you know, marked up by those Jackal pings and trying to hold on to yellow for right now. We've seen this constantly from C9. Somebody in this position making sure that there's always a body around to try and take these aggressive fights, but not capable of winning it out this time around. We saw some success last time from Spirit in this position, but as of right now, it's DarkZero across the board, just taking it to C9. Down into the 5 versus 1.
Pretty incredible start for DarkZero. Not only do they have the Inox tracking Spirits on yellow stairs, also briefly had the Deathmark tracker at the beginning of that. Nafe trying to cut off yellow. Basically, that entire attack was focused around trying to pinch Spirits yellow and then take down any player who tries to support him from either the bottom or the top of the staircase. Both teams heavily prioritizing that. Works out in the favor of DarkZero completely. Deimos will then go in for the kill. Flawless round to start for DarkZero. Kobe with the finisher. Had 3 flawless rounds so far today, 1 in each game. Yeah.
And you highlighted it perfectly, man. Yellow was the crux of the strategy there for DarkZero. They wanted to take that Spire away from the defense and then play off of that. They did it very successfully, especially with the extension existing from C9BC. DarkZero were able to work around that extremely efficiently, take away that mid-floor play, and then transfer that into a pretty successful dealing with of the downstairs. But obviously very easy past that point as they were able to get all of the kills practically on these top 2 floors.
Well, DarkZero, nobody can complain about that. Hey, first Scopos pick of the day.
Oh man.
We did not see this from C9BC yesterday on their defenses, and I want to be, oh well, no, of course it wasn't in their previous console game, because that was before Scopos was allowed in pro play, so we didn't see this from C9 yesterday, so we are going to see a bit of a switch up for C9BC. I'm excited to see where Gunnar decides to play with this, because of course, obviously, if you don't know how Scopos works, you have the 2 robots. I believe Talos and Colossus are their names. You can switch between the 2. When one is inactive, he's behind a deployable shield and acts kind of like a bulletproof camera. And when the other's activated, it's, a player you can control. Also, that gun is massive. That gun takes...
It is huge.
That gun is what people think the AUG is.
No, the AUG is also bad. I can say that as I played that literally 2 hours ago. Like, I was like, wait, they took the ACOG away from the MP5. I've got to play the AUG now, right? And then I saw that gun model and I was like, ew. who designed this thing? But yeah, pretty big gun there for Scopos. But that thing, decent recoil, decent damage. It's just a solid, rifle across the board.
I'm certainly not complaining, because I believe we saw Gunnar briefly place one of the robots down in the basement, the other obviously moving around the top floor, so could have tried to switch to it and go for a flank later on. That seems to be kind of the case. Either you set something far away off the site for you to flank later, you set something on the site so you can rotate back very quickly. Scopos not involved in the first engagement, though she has lost 12 HP. It's a trade between Gavini and Kobe. Remember last week we saw, I believe, C9BC on this very map against Wildcard. This position gained a lot of focus, as it often does when teams are attacking from admin side or just trying to take CEO in general. So much utility and manpower expended trying to clear out that player, in this case Diffuser, behind the deployable shield. He's fine for the moment. He's not taken any damage so far. It's just NGR patiently waiting on this side of the map. Likely, maybe waiting for teammates to join him. Not entirely sure at the moment.
They're waiting for this wrap from Pamba here. You can see him working his way through the map. Might be trying to go for play around yellow. They do still have to worry about that Scopos downstairs as well. Let's just beg the question how DarkZero tries to deal with this. We see the bees come out. They have effectively dealt with that vending position, but now we see the wrap from Pambazu. It's going to go up Spiral instead. Is trying to get that side angle here, but it's going to be Diffuser that ends up taking him down. This is once again going to put DarkZero back into the same hole they just were.
Yeah, very, very stark contrast to the strong performance in round 1. Nafe will try to retake that position. Diffuser in an increasingly difficult spot. The second flashbang lands. Nafe will try to move him, but he somehow still gets that kill. Incredible headshot from Diffuser, but it's traded out, and that puts DarkZero and C9BC in the equilibrium. Timing neither favoring either side, too. Gunnar will play aggressively, spots one, who puts NJR tantalizingly close to death. 5 HP and no utility. Nafe will throw out the flash at Nafe. Maybe can bait the Grim. But NJR's Diffuser. Doe could be the only player on the coverage. Knows Gunner's trapped in this position. Backs off, anticipating the wraparound. But that gives Gunnar a very nice gap. Impact goes wide. Won't take down the Grim. NJR can fight back, but not effectively. With Spirits working in tandem, Beastcoast answer back.
They're always so solid in these low man positions. They get it down to equal footing, and they're able to win it out in both of their 1v1s. Very successfully done. Didn't really get to see too much out of Scopos there. Just really another character with a gun inside of the site. Didn't really, have a chance to switch over to the other bot and get that flank off. But still, a successful round, nevertheless, from C9BC.
And pretty standard defensive setup. No Tachanka like we saw from Los, though. Think about it. We did see a Tachanka during our consulate game. I can't remember who brought it, but I'm pretty sure we did see a Tachanka at least like 1 or 2 times. Either way, pretty standard on the top floor. No Scopos on the bottom floor. Womp womp. honestly could have been the same thing. Scopus inside, somebody on the second floor going for a flank. That seems to be, like I mentioned, the consensus is like you either have one in the site, they then like use it as almost like a recall in a MOBA, and then like the other one where you're in the site, then you can like go for the flank later on, which I guess makes sense, but fortunately teams don't seem to be all that confident in its viability with that particular usage. Right now, we will see a roam on the top floor, but we'll go with the Vigil instead. The Boss GA Cog, SMG-12, deep roam up top, likely with a couple players on the middle floor to support him.
We'll see if people tend to get riskier with that operator down the line, but I don't really think it's worth it as of right now. I honestly think the best implementation that we've seen is that shower position on Clubhouse thus far. But we'll have to see. I mean, maybe there's a couple things that other people can work out. That one was decently obvious, right? You put the shield in there, nobody can really get around it. Just a very smart choice by a lot of these analysts.
Watching Citizen like lose his mind, just like, can I even look around this shield? Like, can I look over this? What do I do?
Yeah, exactly, and that's really what you want with that op.
Yaga, not Citizen.
Yeah, it was Yaga. You are correct. But yeah, that's exactly what you want that operator. You want, you know, those positions where you're able to kind of thwart the immediate game plans of the offense. But nothing really readily available on a map like Consulate. Even though we did see that kind of extension downstairs, that's probably the best you're going to get. So the first minute expended, DarkZero starting to work in from the farther reaches of the map. Kobe mostly focused on the front lobby space. He'll nade open one of these castle barricades and try and assist himself with some more angle work after he gets this beautiful revolver out of its holster.
Trying to hunt down that castle, move forward, but Gavini effectively evading all this. Kobe shut down. Pamazoo 2-tapped outside of Visa. This roam from C9 BC, quite impervious to the efforts of DarkZero. Bolo's got a flash in retreat. Kind of the opposite of what you want with Blitz's utility usage, unfortunately. Things have really gone awry if you're using it as an escape mechanism. Hot and cold will fall, so things not terrible for DarkZero, but Beastcoast are really... This is a tricky spot. I'm not sure entirely what you do here. Bolo will wrap around, and that spear, it's gone. 3v3. But Diffuser able to reestablish that advantage for Beastcoast. A very hectic round, but one in which DarkZero seem to be constantly chasing ghosts of Beastcoast as they move through that middle floor.
Yeah, that absolutely terrified me as soon as I saw that blast from the M590 get released. But fortunately enough for Bo, he's still up and still alive. Got that frag as well, so able to at least propel DarkZero forward, or at least farther along the line than before. I'm going to work their way down yellow here. Case is going to be in Nave's hands. We do still have a smoke for Bo as well, so he can break up some line of sight, but it's going to be somewhat difficult with the positions that C9 still have under their control, especially with that mirror in the hallway still readily available to them. They have a lot of different angles that they can utilize to their fullest advantage as DarkZero is looking to get this case down.
Nave hoping Bolo will be able to create quite a bit of space, throw complete chaos into the ranks of Beastcoast inside of the site. That mirror window staring him in the face. Such a difficult spot. Now that Nave has fallen, that is it. Beastcoast with the lead. DarkZero the initial round, and objectively a very, very dominant one, but after and since for Beastcoast, it has been a very good showing on the defense. One time when it came to the site setup, Sam on CEO, the next time with the roam, indicating their versatility and their diversity and the ways they can win rounds.
100%, 100%. And I think that that's the main thing that we focus on with C9, right? You can come in with a game plan, but C9, 9 times out of 10, is going to do everything in their power to make it to where that's sort of a moot point. And it's kind of like trying to capture a wasp's nest, right? Trying to get it inside of a jar, whatever. You got a good plan walking into it. You think you know what you're doing, but as soon as that thing activates and, you know, you have all these things trying to sting you, it becomes a problem. And that's what we have with C9 BC. You're kicking the wasp nest, man, and you never really know what's going to go down as soon as they start to hop out and try and buzz in your ear. So DarkZero are looking to try and put a cap on this thing, but it's proven to be difficult so far. We've seen some shield play work its way in. We've seen some solid roam clear, but only one successful round thus far. And now we come down to this round where C9 is going to be handling that middle bomb site. This begs a question: how does DarkZero handle this top floor, especially with the solid, I mean, you know, plant denial utility that we have out of C9 BC here? You have Gavini, you have Diffuser, you don't have Cutter anymore because he went for an aggressive peek here with the castle, but I mean, still a lot of things for C9 BC to work with.
Yeah, you know, Gunner tried to go crazy and
Gunner's gonna gun. It happens.
It happens. It happens. It's all good. I respect the hustle. But it means DarkZero will have that 5v4 and going to Exposition and Piano. I believe, yeah, all 4 sites played. No, we've not had the split
We
site.
didn't do split. No.
Didn't have split. My bad. We got DarkZero 1 basement the first round. The third bomb site we've seen played, first one on the first floor. Will be nice if you have to go through that upstairs clear and you can actually like trade a bit more efficiently with relatively little cost yourself. You also will have all those Dokkaebi calls available as the first one goes out. Pandas are taking quite a lot of damage, but it's resulted in established control of yellow. Bolo cuts down spirits and, well, yeah, I suppose around the CEO position. One more player trying to hold on to control of it, but DarkZero took that 5v4 gifted by Gunnar and have run with it as Gavini is pretty much stuck inside of the top floor, trying to find that shot on the Bolo. It will land. He's probably going to, I was about to say, hop out of this window and retreat back as quick as he can. Nobody outside cutting him off, thankfully, so he will. Oh, never mind. Thought he was going to find a way out. I'm not even sure what the hell downed him. But it does result in an effective 2v3, now a very real 2v3 for DarkZero.
An efficient clear here from DZ. I mean, this is a full-on just stand-in-box moment, right? They're like, all right, cool. We're going to get some bodies in on this top floor. We want to take the fight, but we want to do it efficiently. We know C9's positioning now, and we want to try and clear out this area. And, I mean, tip of the cap to everybody, but especially Bo in those positions as he's able to open that up, kind of make C9 flounder a bit as they look for the kills. And obviously, we see the initial, or rather, the late iteration of that with Gavini hopping out the CEO window and trying to make that rotation. But now it's all down to hot and cold to see what he can do up against his former squad in DarkZero. A little bit far removed from that team, especially. But hey, you know, he's got to mark that as that is still his longest tenured squad that he's been on, which is truly impressive. But we're going to see DZ start to work their way in, especially from the closet, as they're looking to get this plant down.
And it could line up quite well for this TCSG. Does spot one, but the angle just favoring DarkZero a bit better, and Kobe will wrap around and finish it. Tie game again, 4 rounds in. Neither side able to get a lead, and DarkZero just trying to regain that ground that they lost after Beastcoasts.
And Kobe is swift, man. And if you guys haven't been keen yet, he's also at the team house now. Previously playing from his bedroom, but now over with the squad. So probably a very solid environment for him, honestly.
Yeah, certainly bringing the vibes, bringing some claps on what happened here. Oh, that's unfortunate.
He was close, too. You got to give him credit for that. I mean, it was a very close shot there out of Gunnar, but just was not able to get the very tip of that ACOG into his favor. Now it's 2-2, so, I mean...
I told you we saw it. I knew we saw the Tachanka from Beastcoast. I was like, I'm pretty sure we saw it.
You're back on this already?
It wasn't CEO. I mean, they're bringing it. It's not like I'm bringing it up out of nowhere.
Where else are you gonna bring it though? I mean, this is a solid spot. I really like this. This is no hate towards Chonk at all. I think Chonk is very good when it comes to this site in particular. You know what I mean?
Why do you why do you cut off the first 2 letters? Like you're high school buddies.
Because Chonk's my friend. We're friends, so I get to call him that. You know?
I mean, it's not like whatever. You're not gonna throw this smoke bomb at me, and I'm just gonna get hyper fixated on it. Tachanka might be involved in the lineup, but this shield by vending, the standard shield by vending, will likely remain a focal point of Beastcoast defensive setup. Realistically, it's on DarkZero to decide where they want to push this, and that'll either force Beastcoast to react and shift some resources more towards the yellow and the CEO side, or if they can just use this utility stack they have on the shield and kind of go, not with the preset plan, but with a very easy position that they already have set up to defend. DarkZero, they have Lion, Amaru, and Grim. This to me indicates we are probably not going to see a slow admin clear, especially as Buck is already down below with 35 seconds into the round.
Which brings us back to Chonk there, Carter. He's a little bit better than Smoke in this position, and I know that's almost heresy to say in Rainbow Six because Smoke is one of our best defensive operators, right? But the key thing here is that he's got a lot more delay for both positions. We see a lot of fly-ins on this window here to our left. We see a lot of things from the CEO window, and Tachanka's just so very good at dealing with both of those positions in a very solid way. I mean, you got so much utility with that fire launcher. There's just not really many things you have to worry about. Whereas with Smoke, you only have 3. So just it's one of those things. Volume does matter in a position like this. So we'll see if he's able to do anything about that. He is going to get marked up from the EE1D. And Nate, he flies in, gets the shotgun kill. Diffuser will pop 1, but this case is going down.
And NJR with the coverage. This is looking so clean for DarkZero, Bolo, and NJR to make this an unwinnable situation for Gavin. And that is it. DarkZero retake their lead with a beautiful rush into CEO.
Well, that's the one thing about Tachanka and Smoke and all the other delay operators, right? If you're able to quickly pop them, I mean, life becomes a whole heck of a lot easier. And that's the key thing there. I mean, we just see the Amaru fly into the main window there and is capable of taking down Shonk in one big shotgun blast. And that's really all that DarkZero need. That's all that's necessary for their plans to go off without a hitch, especially with the oversight there, or rather the overseen from NJR on the top window. Capable of taking out multiple bodies from C9 as they try to pour in and stop that plant, but nobody capable as the kills just keep pouring in for DarkZero. And now taking the lead here for the second time after getting tied up with in round 2. Now they're looking to take this entire half to themselves here in round 6.
The attack's looking so well practiced from DarkZero. Obviously, of course, bouncing back from that very early loss to the Sonics this stage, where they unfortunately lost on Skyscraper 7 too. Since then, it has been quite a good performance, beating SSG, Lowe's, Wildcard yesterday, and all certainly good performances. I think that 7-4 victory over SSG, obviously quite good, but able to get one over Beastcoast yesterday, who sure are in third currently, but only 2 points behind Sonics in the first place. That'd be very, very good to be tied with the Canadian-led Sonics, all the way up at the top of the leaderboard. Sonics are playing OXG after this match in our last game of the day, so we'll see the results of that one and how that affects the standings. But here, DarkZero not only can, of course, win this match, but a 4-2 half on Consulate attack, and you are feeling very, very, very good for your chances in this series, even though Beastcoast have a mean Consulate attacker themselves.
Won't have to worry about it just yet, but definitely the rumblings of that as round 6 is obviously already upon us. Round 7 right around the corner. But can DarkZero extend this lead? That's a big question we all have on our shoulders. And honestly, it feels like they could find some success inside of this round, especially with how we saw them go about things the last time around. I mean, capable of dealing with this entire roam game from C9, and that mostly centralized around their clear of the yellow stairs, and by proxy, just the bodies that they have on those separate floors to try and deal with an aggressive assault from the offense, as they all showed up to the party, but nobody really got their frags in the way that we usually see C9 BC doing. So, as for now, though, it's a patience play for them as they're awaiting the arrival of DarkZero, seeing the way that they want to try and clear this out. We'll work his way in from the front here, and he'll get that pistol out as well. More than likely just looking to see if he can find anybody to apply one of these death marks to.
Well, I found priority number 1 right there. He spotted the castle. He's got a softball right in his way. Though, if he's spotted, this castle could also just shoot through the wall in turn, but the revolver rips away those, well, not floorboards, it's on the wall, but Spirits also had a lot of HP ripped away with that turnaround by Kobe. 2 different players damaged by the Deimos in rapid succession, but a third rears its head. Gavini sneaking around the corner with the Boss G. We've seen so much action from this Deimos, and yet it's Beastcoast with the initial lead, 5-4 as Pamazoo falls. Kobe goes for the close gunfight. That shotgun right around the corner. Gavini takes it, and down goes Kobe. Not finished off as the second shot goes wide, and NGR is able to capitalize off of it. Still a 2v3, though. Remember, Kobe's down up above, and NGR is on an island downstairs in the basement. Not sure where Bolo is. He's got to have been to support. Seems he's on the opposite side by Yellow. NGR's got to find a way to wrap himself out of this one, especially as Bolo falls on the opposite side. One player in server, prone on the floor, diffuser a world away. A little bit of intel on the player on the B-bomb chassis. Here's one close to the corner, but the Vector responds in kind. And JR's got to take this fight. He's got to win it. Instead, he walks past, able to somehow slip between, spots the yellow player. There's far too much for him to deal with. It's a tie game.
This is why you can never hate the C9 BC extension, right? I mean, they just play it so terrifyingly. I mean, there's no other way. It's just a scary sight whenever you're on the offense. I mean, we see DZ with a pretty successful round the first time around, but really that was just up to the fact that C9 really didn't have any gunfights going their way. This time, it's a little bit of a back and forth, and that's what murkies the water. C9 just can't find their, or rather, DarkZero just can't find their way through the thick of it. And it makes things complicated, especially once they start leaning towards the site. C9 already have everybody pulled back from those top floors. They have those nice angles set up for the entry points experience from DarkZero, and they're more than capable of dealing with these swings in from DZ in this late portion of the round. So very well done from them, especially being able to stand toe-to-toe inside of those opening 2 minutes there with DarkZero. Just once again, complicating things for them and making it to where they couldn't exactly go into their execution in the way that they wanted to.
And with that even half, it's important to, I suppose, keep in mind that this is exactly what we saw in the Los game yesterday. 3 rounds for Beastcoast on defense. They were able to win 4 in a row. I think, obviously, this is extremely limited sample size. This is not like super serious analysis on my part, but Beastcoast have technically not lost a round on Consulate this entire stage so far. They played 3 rounds against Wildcard, didn't lose any. Played 4 rounds against Los yesterday, also did not lose any. So that's 7 for 7 on Beast Coast attacks so far. That'd be kind of ridiculous if they managed to maintain that stat line after today. It'd have to be a 7-3 victory over DZ for it to be the case, but that'd be insane. I doubt it'll happen, given the performance DarkZero have had, but hey, something to think about as we watch these rounds play out.
Hot and Cole's going to get some hot tracks there from Bolo. Was over inside of admin there for just a split moment. See if there's maybe an aggressive angle we could take up, potentially castle barricading some things over there on the manager office section. We're going to have some fallback cutoffs, though, already. You can see this full extension from DZ working its way in from the basement as well. And this is something that used to be a big risk when it came to Consulate, especially in its old iteration. A lot of teams shine away from this more roam-centric extension just because of the cutoffs. But ever since the remake, things becoming a little bit more adaptable, a little bit more under the control of the defenses. These windows aren't nearly as aggressive. There's definitely still some areas in which you can get gunned down, just like we saw Gunner holding that top floor window upstairs on rappel, but it's not nearly as bad as it used to be.
No.
And for DarkZero, they're going to use that to their fullest advantage, just as C9 did.
Broadly speaking, they'll, for the most part, be able to retreat successfully back to the side. Do still see 1 player all the way over by yellow. But the control Beast Coast have established, they've been able to do it relatively successfully. Dokby call goes out. We're almost reaching a minute left, and we do need to see a bit more forward momentum by Beast Coast. They still have this blitz. As they're ace on the hole, you can drop them into server and quickly establish that control. They get the information on the 1 player contesting. Kobilax, not alone. There are players close by, but this blitz is going to make his life very difficult, especially now as not 1, not 2, but 3 players seem to be in close proximity around this blitz. They finally move and pinch Kobe. It's taken a lot of effort and a lot of work, but they've at least made it down to the basement. They've been able to keep their lead uncontested. Both the boss G shots go wide. Blitz tries to move in, not the one for the kill. Downed in the process. It's hot and cold instead to give Beast Coast the 4v2. But Nafe creeping up. Might just try to retake server out from underneath Beast Coast. 2 fall to the TCSG. And maybe a 3rd if Diffuser does not play his cards right. Nafe going for the flank again. Clinging to the shadows as best he can. It's NGR instead to try to bring things back, but he's not nearly as good with the single-shot weapons as the Brit creeping back for the retake. Both players spotted. He's got information on both. Down goes 1. The other's got to come off, and he wins it on time! Insane play from Nafe to give DarkZero the lead post-swap.
That was incredible from Nafe. That was so very well done. You can't play it better. Able to not only deal with the initial 2 on the flank, but also able to make the most of the moment when the plant starts going down 2. C9 have got to be feeling it right now. A lot of pressure on their shoulders after allowing that round to go awry. And especially with just the capabilities from C9, we expect those rounds to just go so easily into their hands. So again, tip of the cap to Nafe to be the one to really throw a spanner in the works and make life complicated for C9 BC. Let's look at these and see exactly how he got this done. I mean, look at these shots out of Nafe.
Yeah, just really, really nice stuff. And just 1 more bullet lands and that exchange with Diffuser there, and Beast Coast are able to win that out. Likely, honestly, they probably trade there, even if he hits that 1 remaining shot. But still really nice stuff from Nafe. Just able to use that chaos, because again, Beast Coast, sure, they go into server with 4 people, but they go into server with 4 people when there's only a minute left. There's only so much of a grasp you're going to have on the information, especially when, as we know, and maybe they did as well, how many DarkZero members were either in server, directly outside of server, or in a position where they can be right by server very, very quickly. Players like Kobe, who obviously died, but Pamba, who was trying to shoot back, and then Nafe, who was able to go for that flank. So just making really good use of the chaos, and also just an unfortunate symptom sometime of when you do try to take control that dominantly, but with that low time remaining. Moving over to CEO now. Saw an Amaru rush from DarkZero. That was quite impressive the last time we saw the site. No Amaru, but Spirits back on the blitz in round 8.
You got the Finka in there too to assist Spirits, and you never can really predict where Spirits is going to take a shield, right? I mean, when you look at it initially, all the bearings go, oh yeah, they're going to try and maybe deal with yellow with this or something of the sort, but I would never put that on Spirits because he will just appear out of the ether somewhere and start killing somebody. So we'll see how this goes down for C9 BC. They're leaning towards admin as of right now. We got Pamba over here as well as Bo. We just saw over inside of the main conference area. We'll see what they potentially want to do with this. They're going to roll it back towards site and try and hold on to vending, as well as just the main checker area. This is going to give C9 BC this initial foothold as they start to work their way into the top floor.
Likely run into the hurdle that admin takes always run into, though notably there is actually, I don't believe, a deployable shield here. I mean, obviously it's not in front of the Goyo, but don't think there's any in a fallback position either. No, so Bolo is just holding this with the vending machine. I mean, deployable shield or not, these are the kinds of positions Bolo is really, really strong at holding. It also means that if you just tuck behind the vending machine, you obviously aren't exposing yourself to those grenades necessarily. Instead, almost all of the denial is focused on these Vulcan packs, forcing Beastcoast further into the recesses of admin. And with that first one detonated, it'll likely go at around a minute remaining. Nafe able to win a key fight down below to maintain vertical control, stop anybody from trying to maybe go for some explosive through the floor. But really, I think the biggest impact from that is just that DarkZero have a 5v4 and they're keeping Beastcoast locked in admin.
And that's exactly it. I mean, you look at this timer, Carter, and it just starts to worry you, right? You feel the pressure. You're not even in the server. What does C9 BC do here? Well, it's kill. They have to find a way to get in this round. They have to clear out these positions, specifically this far angle and what we see here inside of vending. They have no real capability of that right now. I mean, Blitz is getting chased by someone. What? And he makes it away. There's no way. He turns around, he's trying to take this fight. Nafe, that was the craziest thing I've ever seen anybody do against Blitz, but it's still working out. I mean, he's the only one to die. It's a 4 versus 2, make it a 4 versus 1, and it's all Spirits, all alone. Yeah, he's overhealed, but what's he gonna do with 15 seconds remaining? He's gonna be able to at least down one, but Kobe will clean that up, and DarkZero get the round after that complete chaos in the last minute.
I mean, Nave's perfectly fine to turn around at that point. I mean, literally, you're like, oh, the Blitz is chasing me with 40 seconds remaining? Sounds like I'm going to run into the basement and try to, keep him focused on me as long as I can. So whether Nave's looking at him or not, I mean, he is totally fine. Timeout from Beastcoast is definitely logical at this point. Sure, these are the first 2 console attacks you've won in 3 plays, or you've lost in 3 plays so far, but you're also now down 5-3, and DarkZero are looking very comfortable on their defenses. I mean, even without a shield in the vending machine position by admin, keep in mind, both times Beastcoast played that site, they were also playing Goyo. It was a diffuser there behind the shield. But sans that secondary utility, and just with a couple Vulcan packs, partially compounded, to be fair, by Beastcoast really taking their time on that clear, DarkZero were able to achieve very similar results with a far less utility cost to them.
Mm-hmm.
It kind of shows that something's not going exactly quite right for Beastcoast on this attack.
Yeah, and it really just comes down to what we've seen from DarkZero and being able to just stand stalwart in the face of adversity, right? C9 has been trying to apply some pressure to these positions, but DarkZero are forcing them to take it with their cold dead hands. And C9 BC just have not been capable so far on these offenses. And, you know, we have seen them get at least a handful of kills here that have boded well for them, but the key factor is that DarkZero have been more than capable of keeping things even keel. I mean, you even think about the round that we saw Nafe end up clutching. I mean, it came down to the wire there for C9 BC on
Real
timing,
close.
and that really is what made things favorable for Nafe after he gets that big flank. Just the timer eating at C9 BC and begging them to put that case down.
5 seconds left before insertion.
And though this wasn't really the story in that round, you know, it obviously allows for plays like that from Nafe. It allows for potentially unforced errors when you just have to try and get your hands around something so, you know, problematic and so big with very little time remaining. And not necessarily the case in that round. It was more just kind of like a slow death with, you know, being trapped inside admin and running out of air. But two different ways Beastcoast have lost rounds so far and need to find one win to try to make this work. They'll keep Spirits on the Blitz. 3 rounds in a row now. They will keep Spirits on the Shield. Perfectly sensible decision given the strength of the operator. We also saw a lot of Monty play in the Los game yesterday, so it makes sense to keep him on that Shield. We'll see how they try to use him differently. They're going to try to use him to take very quick control of yellow. Think back to when DarkZero completely bombarded this position with utility last time. Doesn't even seem to be anybody's here on this defense for DZ.
Well, that will mean all clear for C9BC in this portion of the map, but still have to continue on to see if they can rub shoulders here with DZ. Gonna be chilling out here across this mid floor as well as the top area, making sure they do have that verticality implemented, and that's the biggest thing when it comes to this bomb site, making sure you have oversight, or rather overseeing of that bomb site. We still have the Blitz implemented here from Spirit. He's going to work his way up yellow. C9BC more than likely going to work around this. We don't really ever see them just try and go on a one-off sort of deal and trying to make an aggressive launch, especially when you still have so many bodies available to you. We won't see that just yet out of yellow either. Here, still in the 5 versus 5, we're going to get our first fight, and it's going to be Gavini taking down Kobe as he tries to rotate across the vending machine. Here's that pinch coming in for the top floor. Still have 2 players to worry about. Deathmark coming out. Nave's going to get a very nice shot onto Spirits, and now a lot of pressure onto Gavini. He can't get things done, and Impact actually flies in, and it'll take him down, but we still have the pick coming in from Diffuser. It's a 3 versus 3 with a sub-minute.
I mean, Beastcoast are presenting problems for DarkZero, but they're very easy ones to solve. Gavini just face checks vending and is able to find the kill, but then walks in the middle of a crossfire. Gunner completely unaware. The vertical angle's up above. I mean, it's chaos, and Beastcoast, who are normally so good at threading it, are completely at the mercy of DarkZero, it seems. Ironically, throughout all this, Hot and Cold and Diffuser are in the site, which you think is good, but this is, again, part of DarkZero's plan. They have vertical angles up above. We'll see if they have vertical angles watching this position. They don't for the moment, and then very quickly, Nafe opens one up, has somebody right next to it to shoot through once it's open, and that's match point for DarkZero. 3 rounds in a row, and post-timeout, doesn't look like much was solved.
No. And really, I mean, it just comes down to how solid of a hold, how solid of a grasp DarkZero had on that top floor. I mean, C9, no matter what they tried as a bunker buster, they were not capable of getting it under their control. And it seemed like as their last ditch effort, they try and get this case down and force DZ to rotate off of their, Eagle's nest that they have upstairs. But instead, they have the, they have the vision, they have the drones, or rather just the cameras implemented to make it to where they know that plant's going down. You get the hot mark, and they make that verticality instantaneously for Hot and Cold. I mean, it's just so difficult for C9BC to try and fight back simply because they were not able to garner control of this top level.
DarkZero looking very, very strong on this defense, especially in terms of that coordination, just playing off each other and communicating so well. Beastcoast obviously bringing Consulate into their pool a bit more strongly in Stage 2 than it was previously, but DarkZero is certainly more than their match in this particular outing. It's always a bit risky when you have a team play the map 3 times in a row, especially if Beastcoast won it. You basically have a spot where, sure, no team is probably going to take you to Consulate, but you've saved so much VOD on yourself by playing a map 3 times in a row. But now this win might force them to move to another one in their first game next week. For potentially the final round, we will move down to the basement. The side of probably the closest round, I suppose, for Beastcoast so far, as it technically, I think, was like a 2v4/1v2 from Nafe to make that happen. But since then, it has been nothing short of excellence for DarkZero on this defensive side, and I don't think it'll, even if, maybe DarkZero lose, but I don't think, based on the trends we've seen, that this round is going to come down to a clutch.
We'll just have to see. You never really know, especially when it comes down to these two. It's been a little wild so far, a little unpredictable at certain moments, so we'll just see what they can get done. You have Gavini working his way in with the Ram. Olo, though, with a very... wow. This is not something that you really ever see out of a DC lineup either, especially under Mr. Troy Canadian's watch, right? We don't really see those aggressive swings like that off the front door. But this time around, it's a different DZ, and they're going to get a pick up there off the front panels. Well, to get that big frag, and now Kobe actually going to die on the rotation back as C9 do have some semblance of control across that mid floor. 4v4 here in about a minute and a half. No dope call just yet, as do remember, they ended up switching up her utility just a little bit. Those do come into play over time now. Stealing some cameras there for their one down member. So Diffuser will be flipping through the defensive cams to see if he can get any information that the offense should be privy to.
And thinking back to that opening engagement, you mentioned, it doesn't really feel like DarkZero because of how long it was under a bit more slower of a setup, but thinking about, again, the dimensions of that trade, what it means, I mean, trading the Capcan for the Ace, it's certainly a trade that favors DarkZero, even if it's a 4v4. I think also importantly, those kinds of plays really have been working quite well for DarkZero when they haven't been working for Beast Coast. Gunnar tries to go for spawn peaks by himself instead of the Panba Bolo duo like we saw just now. Doesn't work out. Those Beast Coast-esque plays DarkZero are doing just aren't working quite effectively, and can Beast Coast make it work here? With Gunnar creeping up around the corner, Flashbang goes in. Will that give the game away? There's two different players, but he doesn't find anything for it. Just walks in the middle of a crossfire, and it's incumbent upon Gavini to just make it a 3v3. He'll move deeper into the site, spots another, but DarkZero are just shooting straighter. They're shooting better, and they might stick the landing in round 10. Spirits and Hot and Cold have both worked their way in, but because of those losses, it's only Spirits to cover this diffuser with 7 seconds remaining. Goes for the quick pre-fire, but it's another 1-for-1. And that, my friends, hold on, is a 7-3 victory for DarkZero after 2 nail-biting wins on basement.
I mean, what else can you say? DarkZero call up Cloud9's number. They challenge them to console at a map that they've been so dominant in throughout all of Stage 2 here, and they're able to take the win. Very well done from DarkZero here. Obviously had a very solid strategy walking into this series, and I'm very excited to see what our analyst desk has to say about this.
I am certainly as well. That is not our final game of the day, of course. We do have one more match coming up. It is our number 1 versus our number 9 right after this.
Pipes.
Power tarp.
10 seconds left.
Oh, something I think?
Yeah, on the reinforced
Pipe, 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 pipe.
2v1.
No time, not planning, not planning. Pushing catch.
Let's go, baby! That's that flawless defense. Yeah.
And BC's streak on Consulate comes to a swift end, twice against lower caliber opponents, and then the one time against DarkZero, and suddenly they have a 4-game win streak. Congratulations to Big Purple Bastion. That's a phenomenal way to knock the reigning major champions off their stride on a map they really like.
You know, I mean, a lot of those rounds were really close, but I mean, DarkZero just, I mean, they looked great. They looked great in every aspect.
Especially in the end round, every moment they knew exactly how they wanted to finish and close out those rounds. They played it really well. We were worried a little bit for C9 BC having the footage already exposed. I mean, we thought at first, C9 BC was keeping it close, but DarkZero really started to run away with it, especially when the sides flipped. They really were able to just have a really good understanding of how they needed to stall out C9 BC on their attacks, and the defenses were locked down.
This was the matchup of the best offense and the best defense. C9 BC came into this with a 60+% attacking win rate, and DarkZero shut them down every single time. It really does go to show that the stats honestly mean nothing when you're in the server like this.
Oh, absolutely. And can we just highlight Nafe? I mean, he was making some tremendous plays. Again, he had another...
He went 11-5, dude.
Yeah, he had another big flank that was such a pivotal round that looked like that was going to go in C9 Beastcoast's favor, and Nafe just stepped up to the plate, got that flank off, got back to sight, I believe, and then shut down the round from there. I mean, Nafe is really stepping into that IGL role and just even more in a figure role of this DZ roster.
Yeah, and I mean, we say the statistics didn't work out for C9 BC's favor, but for DarkZero being one of the best teams, where they were the best defensive team correctly.
Yep.
And they really showed it. Once they were on defense, I mean, you see it in the stats right there. They ran away with it, 4 defensive wins to close it out. And yeah, I'm really happy that Nafe did do well, because from week 2, their first game that they actually ended up winning, Nafe was just happy to get 1 kill, you know?
That's right.
And so now he's topping the charts, leading the team, and also leading the team in game. And we really saw it, and that's what I was saying at the start, you know? DZ is in good hands with Nafe IGL.
Yeah, Nafe 11-5 on the day.
I was going to say, they're putting all the DZ haters and, you know, just, I mean, not the DZ, yeah, the DZ haters, they're silencing everyone.
They do exist,
They did it against C9 Beastcoast, and C9 Beastcoast has been looking really strong. So hats off to Nafe, hats off to the rest of the DZ boys.
Yeah, the schedule for C9BC when they go through Super Week is also going to determine whether they even get to top 2 at this point, because DarkZero steal a really crucial 3 points away from them. Let's get Bolo on the line to talk about this game. Dude, again, congrats. We only talked to you last week, but we wanted to get you back in here to talk about this, dude. When Cons came up in the pool, when we saw Cons, I immediately looked at that and thought, I don't know if C9BC want to do this. Was it just a prep game from the past 2 times they played it? Was that how you beat them today?
I mean, yeah, we have a little bit of an advantage whenever it comes to console because they played it previously, right? But I mean, it's a map we feel comfortable on, and at the end of the day, that's all that really matters. So it just worked out.
Question, and congratulations on the win and the streak so far.
Thanks, boss.
I mean, how does it feel playing this aggressive pace that with now this DZ roster that it wasn't before? Does it kind of remind you similar to kind of how what's the TSM played back in the day?
Yeah, a little bit. I think there's some glimmers of similarities, but I mean, I think I said in the last interview, when you have a bunch of gunners, when you have a bunch of gunners going on a team, I mean, you just got to capitalize on it, and you just gotta. Bro, Kobe, calm down.
I'm so glad to know, because that's where I got caught up asking you this question, because I thought that feed was coming from production standpoint, but I'm glad to know it's coming from
it's
inside.
Just the guys hollering in the kitchen.
Yeah. I mean, that's just kind of. That right there is just the epitome of our team. We're just a bunch of goofballs having fun in the lobby and out of the lobby, and we just float.
That's huge.
Yeah, I mean, it absolutely looks like you guys are completely enjoying yourselves a lot more, especially in the cams compared to previous seasons. And how much of a contributor has Kobe been? Because even at the end in the winning comms, he was the loudest one, screaming, getting everyone excited. How pivotal has he been to making you guys feel a lot more energetic in your guys' games?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I feel like the vibes on DZ has always been pretty good, but Kobe is just a different level. He is something special. It's been a blast having him here, and you just need a hype man, right? He's always talking after every round. We got a typer now, so it's pretty sick.
How many times do you guys hear float in a day?
A lot.
He literally just said it.
Yeah, I mean, he hits us with the whole vocab of all like the Xbox terms and all of that. It gets a bit too much at times, but that's what we get.
All right, well, we want to let you go and hang out with the festivities with the team, but I do want to ask you real quick, with Super Week coming up, you knock off C9BC, wonderful way to get 3 points against a team that good. It's OXG, then LG, then M80. I don't envy anybody who has to face you at this point, given it's a 4-game win streak, but what do you do to keep that streak going into Super Week?
I mean, honestly, we haven't really been thinking much of it. It's just one game at a time, right? Like, as anybody should. We're just excited for the next week. More games, the merrier. So we're ready to have some fun and hopefully squeeze out some points for a top 2 finish.
And
fingers crossed.
And float, yeah.
Joke's on you. That question was a trick question. You passed the quiz. Congratulations. That was exactly what you're supposed to say. Dude, thank you so much for the interview. Congrats on the win. Go hang out with the boys. We'll see you in Super Week.
Thank you guys so much. Take care.
4-0 streak for DZ. I don't remember what happened in week 1. I don't even remember at this point.
It's irrelevant.
I just remember the wins, because the wins are great.
It's pretty it kind of paints a nice picture that the team that they did lose to is the one with the IGL who left. And so now it goes to show that there wasn't necessarily one right path. Every path that every team believes that they can go into can work as long as everyone's on the same page about it and believes in it.
I think that's also like I've done a lot of interviews with Bolo and seen many interviews from him, but that's definitely the most where I've seen him like just smiling, laughing, having a good time. I mean, especially even hearing people in the background in DarkZero's camp. I mean, many times throughout many interviews with DarkZero, it's dead silent. It's just someone talking.
I bet it's pretty quiet when they lose.
So the fact that there's a lot of vibes going on, I mean, it just goes in to show that, you know, Kobe is really making an impact over there and keeping everyone's livelihood going.
It's also crazy how we opened up DarkZero's stage playing against the Sonics, and now they are 1-2 in the standings with Sonics in the #1 position. So it just means that when Super Week comes around, it's really going to start heating up. But speaking of the Sonics, they can open up an even bigger gap between themselves and the rest of the field because they play Oxygen Esports in game #4 after the break. Don't go anywhere.